Hi everyone, I'm very glad to present my work in the Canadian Water Resource Association Conference. My work, Integrated Flood Impact Modeling System for the Ottawa River, was initiated in the context of flood events in Canada, especially in Quebec and Ontario province. Flood was considered as one of the most dangerous natural disasters in the world. The main cause of flooding are generally heavy rains, snow melt, and ice jam. Every year, many countries suffer from a severe flood consequence, the environment, infrastructure, and the economic damage, and also the safety of population. Every year, several flood events occurred in Canada. For example, in spring of 1974, precisely in Gatineau, Ottawa, St. Lawrence, and Chaudière rivers, more than 300 municipalities were affected, and 7,000 people were evacuated. Between 1886 and 1965, ice jams caused the floods in St. Lawrence River in Montreal. They caused millions of dollars of damages and 5 deaths. In August 1996, a recorded flood disaster caused the damages estimated around $21 million. In 2002, Canadian floods caused over $2 billion and more than 198 lives lost. Between 2003 and 2012, floods are caused around $20 billion Canadian of losses. More recently, in April 2019, several provinces of Canada have faced extreme spring floods. About 9,500 residents were evacuated from the province of Quebec. I organized my presentation in the following outlines. I will start with a brief introduction about Ottawa watershed. Then I will move to present my hydrological model for the main Ottawa sub-watershed. After that, I will present the results of connecting hydrological model to the real-time flood forecasting system that used, in addition to the results of hydraulic model for Ottawa River. Finally, I will discuss the results in the conclusion and the future work. The Ottawa watershed is located in Ontario and Quebec province, with an area of 149,000 kilometers square. The Ottawa River springs from Lake Capit-Michigama in Quebec, and its outflow is located in St. Lawrence in Montreal. The length of Ottawa River is around 1,100 kilometers, with an annual mean discharge of 1,933 cubic meters per second. My work aims to create an interconnected modeling system for flood impact prediction. To do so, I developed a two-dimensional hydrodynamic model and hydrological model for the main Ottawa subwatershed. Then, I connected this model to observation data to provide an automatic exchange of data and results. Generally, in a flood forecasting and warning system, we convert measurement and detection of the event to warning, then taking action. And my work is located between detection and warning steps where there is forecasting and simulation. The hydrological model of the main Ottawa subwatershed was developed using HKMS software, and the climate data, precipitation, and temperature was extracted from gridded data ERA5. The main Ottawa subwatershed are Rouge, Petit Nation, Levier, Gatineau, South Nation, Rideau, and upstream Ottawa. Now, I will present the results for hydrological model for the main Ottawa subwatershed. Here it is the flow results in the calibration and validation for Petit Nation watershed. And this is the results for Rideau watershed. And this is the flow result in calibration and validation for Rouge watershed. And this is the result for hydrological model for upstream Ottawa watershed. And finally, this is the result for hydrological model for Gatineau watershed. From the Nash-Sutcliffe results, we can conclude that the hydrological model results are satisfied. Also, we can observe from the previous results that the hydrological model underestimated the extreme flow in some cases, and that could be the cause of the lack of lakes and dam information, or that Era 5 data are probably underestimating the peak of precipitation. In the main steps of flood mitigation, we move generally from detection of the event that happens, either a heavy rainfall or large flood wave that is coming, and convert that to warning and response. And between detection and warning, where forecasting steps happen, is the purpose to increase the lead time and support decision. In the flood forecasting steps, we move generally from data collection that can be either telemetry, satellite, or a numerical weather prediction. This user can deal with different data types and formats, and we generally make some pre-processing data such as interpolate to catchment, merge source, or aggregate to model time steps. We use this data to run our model. For example, in our case, we have hydrological rainfall, runoff, and hydraulic model. After that, we analyze the model results. For example, floodplain flooded, in purpose to take the adequate decision and actions, for example, sending warnings and to decision makers. Delfuse imported data from weather station and hydrometric gauges in addition to numerical weather prediction. This data will feed the hydrological and hydraulic model, which will be running through Delfuse as an external model. Finally, we could display this result thanks to Delfuse graphical interface. To connect the external model, we generally follow this diagram structure. We need general adapter to generate time series inputs and outputs in the XML files format that Delfuse can read, and also to execute model adapter. Model adapter allows communication with external model and converting data from Delfuse to native models format. Here, I presented the climate data from Canadian station. We have hourly temperature, mean daily temperature, max daily temperature, and daily precipitation. And I imported gridded data, GDPS, Global Deterministic Prediction System climate data for temperature and precipitation. And also I pre-processed gridded data to a catchment average for the main Ottawa subwatershed for precipitation and temperature data. And here I presented the results of running Rideau hydrological model through Delfuse in the historic mode. And now I will present the results of running hydrological model in forecasting mode. Note that the simulation was done on 17 May 2021, and this is the results of running Rideau hydrological model in forecasting mode throughout Delfuse. And this is the result of running upstream Ottawa hydrological model. And this is the result of Petit Nation hydrological model. And this is the result of running Gatineau hydrological model through Delfuse. And finally, this is the special result of running Rouge hydrological model in forecasting mode 2. For hydraulic model, I used Dev3D software to develop a model for upstream Ottawa River. The river length is around 20 kilometers. The bathymetry data was provided from BERT, and the topography source is geobase data. Then I validated my model with measured speed profile for different cross sections. And as we can see that the simulated speed followed the same profile of measured speed. Now we will move to the hydraulical model for downstream Ottawa River. The river length is around 119 kilometers. The bathymetry data was provided from BIRD, and also the topography source is geobased data. And the same as the upstream river, I validated my hydraulic model with measured speed profile for different cross sections. And as we can see from the hydraulic results, the simulated speed profile matches with the measured and mic results. To conclude, the hydrology result was satisfied. Some models suffered to simulate the extreme flow for some watershed, which could be due to the lack of the dams and lakes information, or the graded data ERA 5 underestimated the peak precipitation. The 3D hydraulic model provided good results, which were illustrated in the previous results with a good agreement between measured and simulated velocity profile. A diffuse provided good results by importing stream flow and climate data, in addition to connecting diffuse with hydrological model and run it in historical and forecasting mode. For future work, I'm working to connecting the depth-3D hydraulic model to diffuse and also developing hydrology model for alluvial and South Nation watershed. And here it is the reference that I used to prepare this presentation. And thank you very much for your attention.